This podcast is a production of Unfiltered Studios. If you would like to know more about joining Unfiltered Studios, please visit our website at unfpod.com for more information.
We mixed, we loaded, we edited.
Sometimes we get so deep into conversation that we have separate segments worthy of their own place in the sun.
Here is a reshuffled mini episode.
Describe to you guys some of our favorite moments from Tom Clancy related media. But as we were preparing off screen, Mike brought up a good question. What are some of his highlights from author Tom Clancy? I do find it kind of interesting how there's one that I think it's like the Tiger's Claw or something where Jack Ryan becomes the president and his son Junior becomes a CIA guy, and he like he shoves like a football made from like just some yarn that's common in Jewish culture into a Muslim American's terrorist face before it blows up or something. So there's a lot of on the nose stuff where you're like, my God, okay. So Olympus Has Fallen is like the best Tom Clancy movie in there was, but I know what you mean. That there's some other ones. I think my grandfather liked this one. I think it was like Red Sky or Red Sun. Let's look.
Oh, was that the with Sean Connery and?
No. You're thinking Rising Sun.
You're thinking
Rising Sun. Okay.
That was
that or A Hunt for Red October, which I believe is also a Tom Clancy.
No, that is absolutely a Tom Clancy thing. So yeah, Red Storm Rising. Yeah, that was a unusual one from '86. And
Alec Baldwin was very likable in that one, I thought. But
I kept joking with other colleagues that Alec Baldwin's version of Jack Ryan is the one in those later two Mission Impossible movies. But yeah, no, he was great. So yeah, that was one of the first Sean Connery movies I saw growing up, and that made me fall in love with, actually, I kid you not, the art of film. Here I am, this 12-year-old, and I really dug just it. I knew other people my age who found it boring, and I'm like, whatever, dude. Like, this is clearly a person with a vision. There's all these different interactive faces. Courtney B. Vance is great as the motor mouth guy who fires the torpedo at the end. But yeah, what a great all-star cast. It was great seeing James Earl Jones, and kind of like Alfred, who goes from being the same actor and character in the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Batmans into the campy Schumacher movies. I found it so funny how James Earl Jones's character is in both Alec Baldwin and Harrison Ford's Jack Ryan era.
yeah.
But,
and they're also together in Star Wars. So there you go.
Yep.
It all goes back to George Lucas.
Oh, freaking George Lucas. And John Milius had uncredited rewrites on like those first two Clancy adaptations. And it was so funny how they were adapting them out of order. And so the main rewrites were just making it be coherent. In fact, it's so funny how in Patriot games, Sean Bean's IRA guy, Sean Miller, actually gets away.
So he doesn't die?
He doesn't fucking die. What's the point? I know.
Is it really a Sean Bean movie if he doesn't die?
If he doesn't die, then you haven't done your job.
Right.
Although I will say he is great in that new Daniel Day-Lewis movie, but there wasn't a need for any death in that movie. He seemed dead inside, just figuring out why his brother was awful.
Ben Affleck played Ryan once, right? Am I right?
Yeah, so that starts the whole like reboots of thing, and that was back when he was still an internet punching bag. So it
also, whoever played Kirk in the Star Trek reboot, didn't he play him once as well?
Mm-hmm. Yep, Chris Pine. I
Chris
thought
Pine.
I actually saw that in theaters. It wasn't a noteworthy plot, but I kind of had fun with it.
Yeah, I've seen most of them in the theaters. So
Seeing Kevin Costner be kind of his mentor was kind of interesting.
yeah. Oh, what's that? Not Chris Klein. That's American Pie.
Chris Pine.
Chris
Yeah.
Pine. Okay.
Not Klein. Pine would have been Klein. Yeah. Pine was in some of those other raunchy movies, that is for sure. But yes. So yeah, James Earl Jones's character was Vice Admiral James Greer, and yeah, I thought he was badass. And it kind of sucks how, like, when you see him out of all the Tom Clancy books I've seen that become exciting movies, I gotta admit, Clear and Present Danger, I like the vibe of it. It's kind of boring though when you read the book itself. Like
really?
it takes forever to get to all the different double crosses with the cartels and the crooked president of the United States, and you're just like, my God, and Red October is interesting, but you do have to wade through. It's like, oh, Tom Clancy needs his detail porn. He has to show you every ounce of every quarter of the sub and where it floods and where, yeah. So
I may have that paperback. I'm gonna have to look at that.
Yeah, he has some good books, and so my favorite of his definitely was Without Remorse, and because I was like, man, so John Clark, who is the head of the Rainbow Six, as CIA Special Forces faction, like he's actually a black dude who's out for blood. And so I wasn't surprised when they adapted it with Michael B. Jordan and they were talking about mixing it in with the Jack Ryan TV show. They're both owned by Amazon, but they did not cross it over. But I thought those were both pretty badass. It's just so funny though, who would have thought John Krasinski, freaking Jim from The Office, was going to be action movie material. He had been in 13 Hours, also known as the Michael Bay movie that doesn't feel like a Michael Bay movie. Thank God. And it's like, I think they did a good job with that four-season run. It was just interesting how they kind of got a brief delay for a year because they couldn't agree on a showrunner, but they shot pretty much all season 3 and 4 back to back. I enjoyed them a lot just because they were each like 8 episodes and they just kept you ticking. And it was interesting seeing him having a boss who was a black Muslim, and he was trying to hide that in the war-fearing CIA. But they had a lot of great actors on that one. They had the mummy guy as a unusual contact who helps them take out a bunch of forces, and it is like pretty much all those intense thriller shows without fail. You turn the volume up so you can hear everyone's dialogue, and then it gets very loud the minute there's an explosion, so then you have to turn it back down again. And so I lost track. I think I did it about 50 times with that show. So but
now something I will throw in there with the Tom Clancy stuff I really liked were the video games.
Yes, without fail, man. Like I am a Splinter Cell completist. I want to cosplay as Sam Fisher.
Yeah.
And Michael Ironside was awesome as the voice. I saw the anime they did on Netflix recently. It wasn't half bad. Pretty true to the game. Michael Ironside pretty much gave his blessing. He's like, I'm too old to voice that, hardened Navy SEAL turned guy. But it is funny how basically Clancy put his name on those games, and even people who didn't really like war movies or novels were playing all those games, just owning each other on online tournaments before you had your Battlefield and Call of Duty. Is like, yeah, everybody. I lost track of how many, just about every friend or colleague I encountered, or even a college roommate, almost everybody had a Rainbow Six or just some other game with Tom Clancy's name on it. What was the other one? Wasn't Fallout New Vegas. The Division.
Yes.
That one had some insane stuff, and they all kind of acknowledge each other because they're all by Ubisoft, who was best known for the Prince of Persia and Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah, and I speak very highly of the Division games too. They are next level good. I will put it that way.
I was impressed by a cinematic I saw for one of them. I mostly saw a lot of people had Ghost Recon.
Mhm.
I was garbage at one of them. I could not pass one of them. I kept getting fucking sniped. But the later ones seemed like they had some pretty cool gameplay and helicopter extractions. The Division's kind of wild because it's kind of like World War IV almost.
Yeah, it's based on look. There's an outbreak, ill, an outbreak of some kind of illness, and it wipes out a good chunk of the population. I played through a good chunk of Division 2, where it's based in Washington D.C. and
Oh shit.
yeah, no foreshadowing there.
This is what happens. This is what keeps the lights on. One that I keep seeing that I used to see get promoted, and they were gonna do a sequel to it, and it got canceled. Was End War. Don't know if that sounds familiar, but this one just had a bunch of similar thing. Army guys with like giant masks on, and they're right by the Eiffel Tower while there's a nuke going off. So I'm like, that is dangerous imagery.
Wow.
It's like, but yeah, I mean, whenever I see someone compare something to Tom Clancy, I'm not surprised. It's just like it has a lot of that whole thing. It's all like every author, he'll throw in his politics, but it's pretty much you only see Congress or whoever the president is when you need to, when there's a debriefing, and it's pretty much depending on which novel or which game or movie. It's sometimes it's a mystery first, other times it's kind of a modern warfare movie, other times it's just a straight up action movie. I do think Red October just really changed how movies were done, just how you're gonna have a big all-star cast, and for me it made submarines definitely cool. Like I knew about the enemy below and run silent, run deep, but like I see that, I'm like that changes how I experienced Foley on a home theater system for me personally.
Yeah.
There was another submarine movie around the same time with Gene Hackman.
Crimson Tide, and
Crimson Tide.
people would always joke, "Are you sure it wasn't based on a Tom Clancy?" I'm like,
Yeah.
it feels like it.
I think Tarantino spiced up the dialogue a little bit at one, with they were talking about comic book characters or something, and
yes, he did. Yeah, he added a lot of his movie references.
yeah,
That there were definitely some reworking on all of these Jack Bryan movies. I just find it interesting.
Denzel, that was the other lead.
Yep.
Yeah,
Got to give him some dialogue. There's no shortage of Tom Clancy. He has kind of moved on from just the Paramount license, but I'm never surprised when Ubisoft is developing another game using his estate's name. And I think it was just cool because you could get those games anywhere, like whether it was on your PC or on a GameCube or PS2 or 360. It wasn't just a one console only game.
Yeah.
So the last one I played was definitely the last Splinter Cell mission they had, and you were having to stop like a nerve gas bomb from going off in airports. But yeah, it was interesting how the games with stealth all kind of varied. Sometimes it felt like you were doing a Medal of Honor or some other Metal Gear Solid. It kind
Metal
of
Gear Solid, yeah.
Yeah, it's like you got and you got to choose where you save your mission, and sometimes certain difficulty just makes it no fun to play. So you got to be really armed to the T and use the right gadgets, do the extractions.
Yeah. And looking at some of the games that are out now, like you mentioned, the Call of Duty, the Battlefield, that draws a lot from. There's a lot of strategy and stuff that's based on the stuff you played, like with Rainbow Six.
Rainbow Six. Some of the books are a little hard to get into, but they definitely adapted a lot of those scenarios into those games, and they just came out with Rainbow Six Mobile. Previously, there was Extraction in 2022, but yeah, those ones were interesting because then you would see online games like Counter-Strike, and that's pretty much the equivalent. Is like you're basically a SWAT team, but you're going to multiple places, and you got military support on your side. I think it was just interesting that that was the main key thing to it. Regardless of what version or adaptation you saw of Jack Ryan, everybody kind of knew who John Clark is. Everyone knew who Jack Ryan is, and sometimes they get a mild mention in it because it's all owned by Clancy, so you can mention any of his characters. Yeah, if they do another take on it, I would actually see any adaptation of any video game they did, even if I'm not the most familiar with it, just because I know it's at least just going to be a decent slugfest.
Yeah, it's bound to be better than any of the Hasbro movies they're coming out with these days.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to stoop that low.
Oh, they are. They're trying to build a Hasbro game-centered universe.
Wow. As if the Universal Monsters reboot idea wasn't stupid enough. Wow.
I mean, even if Battleship wasn't enough of a clue.
Yeah. I remember several times people done polls on Hungry Hungry Hippos, and some people, without fail, there's always someone commenting saying, I'd see it. I'm like, why? Why?
And they do hands down.
Yeah. Very hammy of you.
With a Pop-O-Matic. That was another one.
A Ouija board was
Ketchup and Trouble, I think, were the two.
Oh
games with
God.
Pop-O-Matic. The dice was in a
Yep, Pop-O-Matic.
a glow
Pop-O-Matic, pop the dice.
Yeah.
Wow.
You'd never lose the dice. It was always in the middle of the board in this
No
cage.
dice.
Circular cage. Glass cage.
Oh God. Oh boy.
Oh, it was Headache and Trouble were the two. I remember. Because I remember at one Christmas, my cousin got trouble and I got headache or something, and they were saying, "Oh, Tom's in trouble. Mike gives everybody a headache."
Dun-dun-dun.
Yeah, some stuff never dies. So, is there an Angry Birds Tom Clancy adaptation, or probably not?
God, I hope not.
How
That's the
badly?
extent of my video games.
How badly do you want it?
Yeah,
there
Pac-Man
was a
something,
very bad Sum of All Fears computer game I did play, and I was just like, "What the hell is this?" It just such generic, like shooting and just a random thing where you stop a guy from planting the bomb in the stadium, but you're just like, really, like, why even bother? The movie was already out. It's an okay movie. They just had to change it to just Russian separatists instead of the Middle East at that time, just because political pressure. But I've never had an issue with any of the people they often pick as the villains. I think that's just it. Like, they're kind of a product of their time. You got to really layer the bad guys really well instead of it being just current incidents in Venezuela or the Kremlin.
Current year, that
Current
kind of thing.
Kremlin. Yeah. And it's just so hard because we're already divided as a society. It's just so hard to make it fresh and awesome again.
Speaking of games, these Clancy movies and Mission Impossible are kind of like chess. You got to stay three or four moves ahead of your opponent, and they're
it was your thing.
Yeah.
And they definitely, I think Paramount definitely promoted them much like their Mission Impossible movie and TV shows, but it was also kind of interesting how almost all of them kind of have James Bond or Die Hard moments. It just really reminds you how basically everything is one side of the same coin until it's not.
I remember reading a complaint that the late Daniel Craig Bond was kind of like the Bourne movies.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I like them. I mean,
some of them were fun. Others, I was just like, this is depressing. I want to have fun when I go to James Bond.
Did you like Skyfall or not?
I'm mixed on that one. I just kind of wish it was more kind of like Tim Dalton, where it's fun and then it becomes kind of Miami Vice.
Yeah. The second Dalton's like that, sure.
Yeah, I get shit all the time for liking him and Brosnan and even Connery. So I can enjoy Roger Moore.
I thought Spectre was underrated because it was fun catching all the references.
That was a lot of fun, but a lot of people didn't like it, and I'm just like, well, it was better than the one that came after. That's for sure.
Well, I think there's some plot credibility things, but you're talking James Bond. It's not exactly credible to begin with, you know.
Yeah,
know?
you have to kind of suspend disbelief
Exactly.
on a much wider scale.
I mean, a guy's got a laser aimed at his crotch, and he gets out of it, you know, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
he slept with every woman and survived AIDS. Come on, man.
Right. They kind of, they started cooling that down with the Dalton years, yeah.
I think if Denis Villeneuve's working on it, I'm satisfied with that. I just don't want it to be loud and over the top. But I think James Bond fans nowadays just like to argue for the sake of it, and it's just kind of just gets under my skin after all. It's like, are we just going to have fun with this or not?
I saw a rumor on that Sydney Sweeney was going to play him next.
What?
That's got to be a joke.
That's got to.
I think they were I think they're saying, what's the most extreme Nat Bond that you could come up with, you know?
I mean, a bimbo who isn't known for acting? Sure. Why not? Fun fact on Tom Clancy.
Lazenby was kind of just a actor model.
Yeah, he was a Playgirl model. He got in on the action.
Yeah.
I noticed, so trivia on Tom Clancy, as of 2025, over 114 million units of his games have been sold.
Wow.
Too bad he's not here to enjoy those riches.
No.
It's kind of a shame that he was very difficult behind the scenes. Like, if you listen to the Sum of All Fears commentary track, all he does the whole track is basically troll the director, saying you fucked up here. I'm like, Jesus, who wants to be in this
movie out of your book, pal? Yeah,
yeah. It was Phil Alden Robinson, who you guys know from Field of Dreams and Sneakers. He hated the experience so much that was like one of the last movies he directed.
Wow.
I'm like, Jesus. And growing up, it was confusing for me because I knew it was a reboot before that was an infamous term to use. It was like, okay, so it's not the same continuity, but it's a younger Jack Ryan. But I thought growing up, Morgan Freeman was playing James Earl Jones's character. It's like, nope, he's playing a different guy.
No.
But this month, I took on a different role.
I played on a different role.
The same amount of damn money.
And I can't be the same guy. I died here. But I remember Roger Ebert giving in his review. He was kind of decent with it. He was like, the whole nuke going off at that stadium reminded him of Black Sunday.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, when they all race out of the game and
go. And
I think you got some radiation there anyway, pals, you know, guys.
Yeah, you kind of can't escape radiation, and they always like to go over that in the movies. It's like, guys, you're going to be coughing blood right now. I'm telling you. They're fun movies, I do feel, but it is kind of interesting how you'll still get some Clancy fanboys who they're kind of in the minority. They're kind of like the ones who don't like any version adaptation of Lord of the Rings, and they're like, it's got to be like this, it's got to be like that. I'm like, then it's just not going to be good if you adapt it that way. Like,
yeah.
I got into this with some John Grisham guys, and they're like, guys, trust me, if you add that plot twist in there, you'll rob the movie's suspense, or you give too much away, or you'll just lose them because it's just fucking confusing.
So does Harrison Ford, his big "How dare you, sir" to the president scene with
it's a clipping like that. I don't think it's word for word, but it's an awesome scene. You got the guy from The Thing, and I saw that post 9/11 when I saw those movies, and I was like, those movies were ahead of their time, just calling people out. And
did he play a president in a movie before or after that when he told off the president? I think he started playing the president later.
think he had been a politician or sneak in a few other movies, and he's unfortunately just left us in recent years. But I dug James Cromwell as the president in Sum of All Fears. He was just like, let Russia have it.
Yeah.
They just nuked our stadium, serious or not. It's like, and like within 14 minutes, like he's in the cabinet, he's got like stitches and bruises, and it's like 5 different jets have come in and like blown up 2 different Russian carriers. You're like, my God, this dude doesn't goof around. And I do like seeing people joke around that without those movies, then Harrison Ford doesn't get Air Force One.
Yeah,
But-
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he did start playing president after
But
that.
yeah, it was like, so if
Yeah.
you want to, you can think maybe it's
That's how
actually
he won up the president. He became one.
There you go.
That's right.
Jack Ryan did become president. Yeah.
And then he could, of course, he was Red Hulk. Wasn't he president in that?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
Thunderbolt Ross.
It was definitely a homage by Marvel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That
I
movie
think
was kind of a disappointment, though. But anyway,
hey,
No, I actually liked it. I thought it was really well done.
help.
the big face off just kind of he kind of scolded him, and that was the end of it.
Hey, don't worry. They're
I'm
gonna
gonna have
make
to
more.
watch it again.
And don't worry, it won't be the last. They'll make more.
Yeah.
Do you know how much you would really have to screw up a Marvel for them to stop making it?
Yeah.
Well, it didn't stop him from Eternal, so
Oh yeah. I the 3 this year I like Thunderbolts the best. So yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
Thunderbolts is fantastic.
It brought some humanity back to the characters.
Eternals is what I call the art house movie that doesn't know what Lane wants to commit to.
Yeah, it's kind of like what were superheroes like? How many centuries ago or something? Yeah.
I think they just
Yeah.
need different leadership because it seems like Kevin Feige keeps hiring people and then like just telling them what to do. It's like you got to let them actually do the work, dude, instead of micromanaging.
And what's the other one? The 10 Rings one too. What was?
Oh yeah,
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi, yeah.
Yeah, I had fun with that. That was pretty much a tribute to every 80s, 90s blockbuster movie. Kumote. I'm actually surprised.
I'll keep seeing Marvel. Endgame was such a great movie, though. It's kind of like how do
Saw
you
it
top
twice
it,
in theaters.
Yeah.
For me, that was kind of. I think they could do another good Doctor Strange movie. I think the problem with every franchise is it's hard to tell who's into it and who is getting tired of it. Or,
Right.
I mean, you could argue the same thing with John Wick. People want more, but do they really need more? I don't know. It's just
As a John Wick fan, yes.
okay.
Yes, we want more.
Well,
And yep. And I'll tell you what, I watched Ballerina too, and I thought that was
I loved it too.
I really liked it.
I did too. I just don't know how long it can go on, before we hit Highlander or Death Wishville.
We haven't quite hit Fast and the Furious or Mission Impossible
God.
yet, so
They need to go to space first. There's going to be no shortage of Clancy, and he's definitely pretty much influential in all the spy genre. And it is just so funny though for a man who, when Red October the book first came out and the actual CIA goons stormed his house saying you got to change details in the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh. Well, they're very watchable movies. I've enjoyed all of them. All 3-4 actors that played them, and
Well, and I
it's
think
kind
it
of like the Batman franchise. You still want to see another Batman movie,
yeah.
Well, and they're
in a way,
Well, no,
Or you know what Tom does.
because Batman is basically he's the stealth guy, and James Bond's the cool guy who gets away from everything. So yeah, Jack Ryan was, I don't know, kind of a geeky alternative. You have just all kinds of people, whether they're middle aged or young adult. Who I think it's just interesting how you don't know what the version's going to be like. Who's going to be more tech savvy versus who's going to be a good fighter and a quick aim. You don't know. But,
I don't give a shit whether you did it or not, and neither will anyone else. But I will put such a stranglehold on your gun money, you'll be out in the street throwing rocks. I will fucking destroy you. I will make it my mission in life.
Mr. President, I humbly request to resign from the position of Deputy Director.
Well, that is equal parts unacceptable and absurd. You swore an oath to protect and serve the agency no matter the threat.
Unless that threat is me. Sir, you said it yourself, we're in the middle of a storm. A storm I desperately hope I can steer us out of, but right now, the Senate Intelligence Committee has their sights firmly trained on me. You know that the closer Director Wright is, the more likely she is to get hit.
Ryan, you really expect me to let you leave the agency unprotected in the one moment it needs protecting most?
Absolutely not. That's why I've already found you a far more qualified replacement.
All right, to close out favorite Tom Clancy movie and video game moments, I have Gil on the show. I know you're a big suspense action guy. Do you have any moments that just live rent free in your head that you
Well, if you're
remember?
talking Tom Clancy and Jack Ryan, I guess the ones that stand out the most for me, of course, are the ones with
Harrison Ford,
and also Hunt for Red October, Alec Baldwin.
And that's wild too, because it is kind of like the 80s, 90s Batman, whereas like it's all technically the same universe because they got, if you're in doubt, like they're acknowledging the different characters, and even though they've recasted the main character, we got Admiral Greer is played by James Earl Jones in all three of them. But the moments that are still just great is just that finale of Red October. You got two submarines fighting, and then
that's like a classic. That goes back to even an older like submarine movie.
And totally, it's the same kind of suspense as The Enemy Below and just some of those other 40s pictures, Run Silent, Run Deep, but it's more modern. And to add insult to injury, there's another Russian sub that's trying to instigate this war. There's we got everybody basically playing chicken with each other. It's like, oh wait, maybe we shouldn't fire, and oh, there's a saboteur on board the Russian sub as well. But it's just that music is just so iconic. I've heard it used in other movie trailers. And I once asked the guy who wrote Crimson Tide if he was inspired by that. And he's like, I try to do everything my own, but I am definitely, both it and October are definitely inspired by just earlier, just black and white submarine movies, just back, even Das Boot, just that whole deal of just like, I got the lighting, I got the actor, but it is interesting how other submarine movies get claustrophobic while Red October just kind of shows you where you would be walking on this thing. It just kind of details it more, just like the novel is like, here's the escape room, here's the boarding room, here's the torpedo room, here's everything. And by the way, keep an eye on some of these other guys. One of them might be dirty.
Well, and Sean Connery's character in that, he's trying to set up his own. I don't know if you want me to say it.
Go for it.
Well, set up his own defection.
Yeah, and
and that's not something you've seen in those types of movies before. That was added in for
never.
This one.
Yeah, and most of the time, it's pretty much black and white, and it's like, you think you know me, you don't really know me. I'm just drawing you guys out so you'll find the real villain to illustrate himself. And he's so good at evading all the submarines that come after him, having their torpedoes,
But he does it all just so he can defect.
Yeah. And let me tell you, I was 12 years old when I saw this movie. I didn't get it all. There's no way you can in one viewing, but I was just entranced by it. I was like, that's really, really cool. Like, I felt like I was underwater. Great Foley, great effects, great actors, great characters. And it's so wild how it was in 1989 and they had a bit of extra language that they apparently removed from the theatrical release. It's like, I am surprised that they still got a PG rating in 1990, but I think it was just because adults loved it so much, and then they're like, yeah, there's a bit of crass words. I guess we might give it a PG if you cut out a bit of this language. And Scott Glenn, he was my icon after seeing him in this. That was 90s were a big year for him. And Jan de Bont, he's already working for Paul Verhoeven and already worked with John McTiernan on the classic that is Die Hard, and it's easy to see how he goes on to helm blockbusters like the Speed movies and Twister. So it's so funny when you read behind the scenes stories. He apparently got in trouble with the unions because he was such an opinionated cinematographer. He didn't care to have any other gaffer or camera assistant. He was just like, okay, well, by union rules, I need a crew on staff, but I'm not going to use you. You can just watch and learn. I'm like, geez, that's an opinionated cinematographer. He knows what he wants without needing a crew to do it for him. But yeah, just that lighting just sticks out in my mind. But while I do get enjoyment from a lot of the other movies, like 'em or hate 'em, I still love that ambush in Clear and Present Danger where Harrison Ford's Jack Ryan is, uh, going to South America to meet up with some of the guys accused of being part of this drug trafficking thing, and lo and behold, the main cartel guy, Felix, is making sure that he won't have any opposition. So he sends a hit squad, and they all are armed with RPGs. And Jack, of course, is astute. He's actually doing his job. He's like, turn around, turn around.
And that's that you said Clear and Present Danger.
Yes.
So that was the jungle ambush.
It's more in the middle of town, but yeah, that they're out in the jungle, and it's just like, yeah, and I just love just the choreography of it, and he just flat out, he knows they're walking into a trap. They're having to avoid all these RPGs. The Secret Service guys are all getting slaughtered. He just he gets some of the surviving guys who die later.
Yeah, and at least with his character here, he's an analyst. He's not really an action hero per se.
Yeah, it's a more natural hero. Is just like any good page turner. Is like, you need an everyday man for Jack Ryan, but this time he's not armed with a gun like in Patriot games or Red October. Here he's he's got to use his wits. He'll steal a gun from some other people, but it's just much like John Clark, is testing out his Rainbow Six team, and they're slaughtered by bad intel, and just so that these crooked Joint Chiefs can start a war with the president also looking the other way. And it was just so bizarre watching it for me when in a post 9/11 stance, when you were just like, man, history repeats itself both on screen and off. And I'm just like, yeah, you just got all this bad intel, all these just terrible guys up in Washington just having people killed just so they can make money off a war. And it's just so awesome seeing him have to find the most unlikely teammates. But when he guns that car, like in reverse to avoid an RPG and then bust through a wall, it was like, it's just awesome because Harrison Ford is actually doing the stunt. And it just.
Well, and then in Clear and Present Danger, he also has that angry moment where he confronts the president.
How dare you, sir?
Yeah.
How dare me? President Bennett, worst president ever. And rest in peace. That dude is a good actor. Like, you've seen him in The Thing and the Logan's Run show. And he's been around for a while. And but yeah,
Moffat. I think his name was last name was Moffat.
Yeah, Donald Moffat, and
Yeah.
I just always knew him from this role. And same thing with Henry Czerny as Ritter, one of the other Joint Chiefs. Harris Yulin, same thing, is like. But it's so funny how in both the Harrison Ford movies, Greg German, years before he was on Ally McBeal in NCIS, was one of the computer techs, and he had some surprisingly funny scenes when I rewatched it. But the main takeaway for me was Raymond Cruz as Chavez, who was one of the sniper on Rainbow Six, as well as Miguel Sandoval Ernesto, who's the drug czar who doesn't realize he's being played by his other partners. It's like those guys I definitely associate the most with that movie. That was just a cast of just great actors. It was like, see, action movies don't have to be mindless.
Which there's a woman. I don't remember which one it's in.
And Archer, I think you're thinking of as
not his, because Ann Archer, did Ann Archer play his wife?
Yes.
Okay, no, not her. She was a British woman, and she was in the show Rome.
Oh yeah, Polly Walker, yeah, on was in Patriot Games, and it was so funny for me growing up. I was like, yeah, I will always know you as the villainous IRA gal with Sean Bean in Patriot Games.
And I forgot she was also in Caprica.
Was she in Caprica?
Yep.
I had no idea. I've seen it.
But I liked her, and
Yeah, she's good on Line of Duty. She's been in some other stuff that I still need to see, but yeah, I will always know her from Restoration, this movie, and Rome, and it's just, even State of Play. She was on that miniseries, and but yeah, she's a very underrated actress. But man, she talk about villainy. Like I was like, man, that's what was why Patriot Games for a while wasn't just an uncanny action movie. Like the stakes were like just very. It was just like a very well illustrated, just like avoiding cliche. But what's going to draw a guy out? It's definitely going to be if you threaten his family, you know, and you didn't ask to be threatened. You literally were just stopping violence in progress, you know, by in the middle of a London visit. And I mean, it is funny. I was joking with the guys how Sean Bean basically just gets sent to prison, his Sean Miller character, but in the movie is like, yeah, that's not so theatrical. Let's have him do an all out ambush on Ryan's safe house, getaway home, and
I can't remember. Does he die in this one?
Yeah. He gets flat out impaled. But it was also cool for me when I rewatched it. Is like, wow, that's an early role for Sam Jackson as well. So three Star Wars actors in this movie. But he played like Perry, just one of those other Robbie, one of the other military contacts he had. But yeah, Sean Bean was just great in this because like without this, you don't get his role in GoldenEye, let alone all his other bad guy roles. But it was also just an interesting, he had done heroic roles like Troy later on, as well as the Richard Sharp series. But it's like, yeah, that it was interesting in this one because like, yeah, this kind of just showed you. I just felt like it was a plausible way in how all these IRA terrorists, recruit all their different contacts and other mercs to join their cause. And, and kudos to, Philip Noyce, he just for a while was kind of the thriller drama guy, he'd done Dead Calm. That's what makes him an international sensation. But, that's what gets him onto other stuff like The Saint and The Bone Collector and Salt with Angelina. So it's like, yeah, he was the fun with those two Jack Ryan movies alone. Is like he was in demand. It's like we need you as the action-packed mystery guy. And you're gonna get good actors, and you're gonna have a taut script. So it's pretty hard to fuck this one up.
Surprisingly, he only ever did 2 movies. I thought he'd at least get, because I mean, what is it? Is it followed up with Ben Affleck after that with The Sum of All Fears?
Yeah, and that point that they're just doing just a a different version, a different timeline, and
different timeline. Does that mean that it takes place at a certain time when he was younger, or his character is just younger?
It's just a different version who happens to be younger, but yeah, I could never get a crystal clear answer from everyone growing up. There were so many who were, it's not like the book, instead of being Middle Eastern, terrorists, they're Russian, Kremlin defectors, if you will. And the movie had some problems, but I have rewatched it in anytime it's been on Showtime, and I have actually enjoyed it a lot just because it's kind of a fun tribute to other disaster movies. Just everyone always just remembers just that stadium nuke.
Does it continue along with the political intrigue?
I thought so. I thought James Cromwell was great as the president, and it, much like Clear and Present Danger, it does have some modern day fictional war elements. It's like, hey, here's how we would respond to that. We're gonna, bomb a Russian carrier in response to that, and then we're gonna have to call it off because we realize, oh, we're being played by all the other instigators. So pretty much like a Clear and Present Danger copy and paste, but you could say that's kind of Tom Clancy's formula that he repeats the most as well. It's just like, yeah, it's just people not realizing what tools they are.
Well, with Alec Baldwin's character and with Harrison Ford, he's more of an analyst than he is, an operative.
I mean, he's always supposed to be an analyst, but it's just interesting how he doesn't always, kind of like how Batman doesn't always use his Batmobile or mystery, if you will, like Sometimes he's more tactical, sometimes he's, campy. It depends on the version. But yeah, Baldwin was probably the smartest version of that character. Well, Harrison was kind of more reserved. We can't help it. We have to find a way to just work in
Yeah.
his
But
fugitive
yeah, and
culture.
I hadn't seen the version with Ben Affleck or Chris Pine, which I heard Chris Pine was more of a more action oriented, more
Yeah,
Bourne kind of spy thing.
definitely. And that they open up with like a failed Iraq mission, and it's like helicopter going down, and uh, I saw that actually with a lot of family members, and they really enjoyed it a lot. It's like, and again, they were not into spy stuff, but Chris kind of carried the movie. That one was, a lot of people who I know who like spy movies hated that one. They just found it so generic. And I just kind of dug it just for the, I don't think it's memorable, but I do think it's a lot of fun. Like I will put it on just as a Sunday night movie, but like Chris carried the movie so
I
well.
was going to say I'm more than willing to see the movie. I just haven't, but I've heard from a lot of sources saying it's a very generic spy movie.
Yeah, you'll either like it or just be like, meh, not going to remember it tomorrow. I just found it interesting just because Kevin Costner, this was kind of before he made his comeback with Yellowstone, and he was being a mentor who they created for the movie. Anyway, the action was fun, but yes, it is derivative of other stuff like Speed and Die Hard with a Vengeance, where, there's a bomb, it's in a tunnel, where is it? So I think that's just the problem, is like Tom Clancy movie adaptations came out when the genre was kind of stale, and Paramount wanted something else besides, Indiana Jones, to have as their adventure series. But at the same time, like it it's not gonna get any easier. But that's where I definitely feel like the TV show has been the best compromise. Like so many of those.
Oh, and then that he becomes directly an operative, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's already an analyst, and they're like, there's no way, after 2 episodes, we're gonna have him just be in the office this whole time. And that was just kind of meta in a way. It's like, you love John Krasinski. Remember when he was in the Michael Bay movie that didn't feel like a Michael Bay movie called 13 Hours, the Benghazi movie? Let's have him team up with that same team and some of these other guys who worked on. I mean, there were so many other spy movie filmmakers who I saw directing and writing episodes of that. I'm like, hey, that guy, this gal, she writes stuff like SEAL Team. This guy, he's done episodes of MacGyver and 24. Oh, but it's easy to incorporate that same thing. But like, it's just kind of fun. Is like that. I think there is a line that his character says is like, I'm not doing just office work anymore. I'm like, I see what you did there. John Krasinski is no longer Jim. I really did dig it a lot, but I saw some fans complaining about, oh, this season I like this one more. I'm like, you can like
season. Yeah, I saw season 1. I didn't see season 2 yet.
That's just it. Like the stakes keep raising. They're again all 8 to 10 episodes, yeah, and I would binge them a lot. And I got to say, I was going through a really rough patch. Overcoming insomnia and everything, that show just gave me a lot of comfort. And despite there being a lot of grim stuff on screen, like same kind of deal. Like I think it made up for just the divisive other Jack Ryan shows by just really just having really awesome villains. Now, a lot of the plots were definitely similar to Clear and Present Danger. That is for sure. Like we had submarines, but I think it just helps that Jack is, to stand out, like he just has awesome quiet moments where he just looks around. He's like, yeah, that tactical team you sent, they're going to get blown up in like 50 minutes unless we get to this other place. Like he just knows that just something just smells. And, but it definitely is more like that. There's some Red October nods for sure. There are definitely some submarines and a few other things, but just the scenario is just always so different. Like there's like a hospital, ambush at the end of that, followed by some other tunnel ambushes. But like season 3 and 4 kind of felt like a modern day warfare movie after a while, and is like, that's awesome. Like we've been doing this back and forth, diffusing bombs and everything. Now we got to do like a giant extraction. And yeah, kudos to all the filmmakers. And but the villains just really stood out. Like it really was like an awesome Born Identity movie where it's like, I want to know who's, wiring all these accounts to all these awful organizations, who's really the main guy who's pulling all the strings. And just when you get comfortable, don't worry, there's also some other guy who is more than just a computer hacker. They're the main guy pulling the strings. And I would rewatch them again for sure. I just don't have the time, but they were really a lot of fun. And I just wish they hadn't taken, like you said, with the other, we were joking in the other chat about HBO shows taking a 2-year hiatus. Is like they were literally filming season 3 and 4 back to back, and they had a disagreement with one of the original showrunners who then left over creative differences. So again, that stalled filming because scripts got to go in the go on the page. But what I is unfortunately a missed opportunity in my opinion is I didn't even though it's different from the book. It's kind of my favorite Clancy book, No Remorse. I felt like they got that version of John Clark down pretty well, and it's a shame that they, even though those were both by Amazon, they should have, in my opinion, crossed over Michael B. Jordan's John Clark with Jack Ryan's, John Krasinski's Jack Ryan. It just would have been a fun.
And John Clark, that's Rainbow.
Yeah, that's the Rainbow Six creator who's referenced in all the books and video games, and he's actually a black man in the books, but he's played by William Dafoe in Clear and Present Danger. And it was also fun how they had Liev Schreiber play an equivalent of him in Sum of All Fears, but it was underutilized. But it's just, that character was just always interesting because he's having to navigate, he's just like your captain who comes up with his own vice squad in his city, it's like, I'm going to navigate all the politics and use all the freedom I got until, they dismantle our operation, and I'm not going to be played. And, without No Remorse was just interesting because it's like, yeah, what if here's the origin story of how this guy got hard and how his whole team got slaughtered and how he's going to make everyone pay. Ryan's going to go through some channels and be sneaky about it. This guy's going to go all out, and he's going to torture anyone who deserves it. And then but I think what makes him different from like a Rambo equivalent is he channels all the rage into doing something productive with the next step of the revenge instead of just, I'm going to go all out and I've lost all my energy and not able to think straight.
Yeah.
But spy stuff is just hard, dude. I don't know how. I really have to be so detailed. It's like, here's why this one stood out versus why this one felt generic or why this one didn't take off.
Well, they've got to find the balance between like the intrigue and the action, and trying to give you enough intrigue to keep you riveted, but at the same time not getting too bored by it.
Right. Well, and not feel like it's just from better movies. And yeah, I mean, I'm always stoked for just when there's a new movie out, but I also never know it can just go awry really quickly if it's just got a garbage script,
Yeah.
Or if it just gives too much away.
In Clear and Present Danger, is that the one where he gets attacked at home?
That's Patriot Games, but
Patriot Games, was it? Okay.
But yeah, Clear and Present Danger, he is going out, investigating. I mean, it was always just interesting for me, just seeing this is how we depict Colombia. This is how we depict the shadiness. I mean, it also just helped that a lot of those suspense directors just were so inspired by just other stuff like, shall we say, All the President's Men, just all those just classic cover-up kinds of movies.
Well, and then with the spy movies, you always got international intrigue kind of going on.
Yeah. And you never forget those actors ever because you're just like, oh yeah, you're so-and-so. You used to be on, you've been on Masterpiece Theater for decades, and in this thing and in that thing.
It's a lot of British actors usually.
But for a mainstream audience, I guarantee you, we've seen you the most on these different spy movies that are on TV all the time. And I can't for the life of me figure out why anyone thought Clear and Present Danger should have been rated R. It's like, no, there's not much blood. It's like, it just shows you how overactive the MPAA was back then. And I'm like, oh, stop. If you're telling me something's rated R, there better be just, Deer Hunter level, gore, or just very, a lot of PTSD happening, something that you couldn't show on regular, even cable TV. It's just like, if you're going to tell me it's R, it's like, it better be a very just gruesome movie for the most part. It's like, yeah, Patriot Games, it got it. But even then, it was very restrained with the language, It's interesting how some people overact with some stuff, and it's interesting how talk about a role reversal. These movies all had different ratings, but everyone knew this is back when people were reading and they knew about a certain author, so it just didn't matter. It's like, hey, you got a new Stephen King movie out. It doesn't matter if it's PG-13 or R. Everyone's seeing it. So Clancy kind of had that same kind of appeal. It's like, hey, even if you don't know me, you know me from that very intense PG rated movie. And yeah, it doesn't matter. You're going to see these anyway. It's just only like maybe R or PG-13 just because of maybe just one choice use of words here and there. But everyone's seen it, whether it's on TV or on home video. And I kind of miss those days because now everyone wants to dispute what it's rated and whether or not that will work against the content and substance of the movie. Is like, well, if it's just good, do you really care?
Well, if you take like the Deadpool movies, they really took off with the R rating.
Well, yeah, that definitely has to be rated R. But like for something that like that's in between, like everyone was trying to do it with the new Predator movie, and I was like, yeah, I mean, even if you didn't like it, I mean, it's just him beating up robots. There's no. It's going to be Predator is just awesome, even if it isn't gory. I mean, I don't.
Well, it was a different dynamic they threw in the latest Predator movie, which was interesting. Like a Predator and a robot. What do they call them? Synthoids, or are they
just an android?
Android.
Yeah.
So yeah, teaming up.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, if I take away the gore of any Predator movie, most of it just gets the R rating just from all the various heroes using a lot of choice words. So it's like, yeah, if I take away all the Marines, it's basically a very brutal PG-13.
Yeah.
But I in no way am I saying, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of movies like, yeah, no, this one needs to be PG-13. No, this one definitely needs to be R. It's just, it like I would see totally an R-rated James Bond. A lot of the books are very bloody.
Well, you think about like the Jack Ryan stuff. It plays out. It could play well out on TV, so it doesn't necessarily need to carry those ratings, like you were saying.
Yeah, totally. I mean, having it on streaming, that show was a good idea because it would have probably been a little too formulaic on network or cable TV. So like, let's just have it be on streaming. Everyone's going to be patient, and this is going to be the right kind of slow burn. But it's still getting hard. There's still just a lot of people who will try to kind of like they're doing with the John Wick craze. Now that's a surprise hit, now we got to make that beat look like this or that. Is like, or maybe just let them do what they were going to try to do before you refuse to greenlight it. We don't have to copy the other person. We just have to give them some space for creativity. And
nope, this is what's popular. Go with that. No.
It must be like that. It must be like Jason Bourne. It's like, even Jason Bourne doesn't want to be like Jason Bourne. Jason Bourne is always different.
Yeah, Jason Bourne went off track after a bit.
Yeah, I'm in the minority. I enjoyed them all, but definitely the first three, those are the ones to watch. I actually think the Treadstone show would have been pretty good if they'd given it 2 more years, but it was not to be. USA Network was making spin-offs of their popular movies and then canceling them after 1 year. But I mean, I think they could still, I think I did see some and that they were thinking of doing some other Born Identity anthology show. I'm like, that's cool. Just don't reboot it. I'm sorry. Like that's the other thing too. They'll reboot something and it's barely been a decade. I'm like, I'm still getting used to that image of that one character you established.
Yeah.
Like either make it a different continuity or just give it room, or better yet, adapt something else from that same universe. So yeah, Tom Clancy has no shortage. Like if you wanted to do him as the president and Junior being the spy, that could work. That's been in a bunch of different books. That might actually be more interesting. But
Harrison Ford's actually character was almost feeling like he could become president, kind of thing.
That's what we were joking too. Is like Air Force One is the unofficial Jack Ryan as president,
yeah,
because he's got the military background, and they reference it in Captain America 4. But you're just like, yeah, but it is a tricky thing too, because then when you do those, if you have the president intrigue, what do you do to separate it from just another action-packed episode of The West Wing, or any of those other military political shows? Is like you got to really have something just intriguing instead of we're just gonna. I mean, legal fillers suffer from this too. Is like how do I make this different from a episode of Law and Order? It's like, I'm not trying to bash that. I'm just saying, is like, how do I make it different from this and that? And
well, Law and Order's formulaic, so
I still watch it, but I'll tell you plenty of the bad episodes where I'm like, oh, they were not thinking on that one. That was bad. And John Grisham, I mean, made lawyers exciting. Being a lawyer is not exciting at all, but you would have all this murderous intrigue and corporate cover-ups, and it's like, now when I see that in another movie, I'm like, oh, someone's been reading a lot of John Grisham.
So, Jack Ryan's character, did you think he was a better analyst or a field operator?
Well, on the show, he is a good operative. Clear and Present Danger, he's a bit of both, but definitely Red October, as we were hitting on, is like that is...
Well, Alec Baldwin, I guess you could label him as the smartest
of the analysts, because even though he has a gun and does shoot one of the perps at the end, he's still, like, the whole time he is getting all this information, he is face palming and going, this makes no sense, why would anyone want this?
Yeah.
So he's at his best with preventing a war there. Well, at the rest of them is like they're often, a war has taken place and now we're slowly diffusing this as everyone's putting all the dominoes together.
So then Harrison Ford would have been the angriest actor, or angriest Ryan?
I think it's his most honest one, but yeah, I mean Alec Baldwin, have you heard Mission Impossible fans joke that his version of that character is the one in the Mission Impossible movies?
I hadn't heard that.
It's like, because it's basically Red October mode. He's doing a debriefing and saying this doesn't make any sense, but not afraid to take out a gun when ambushed. But oh man, but yeah, man, that even people who complain about them being different from the books, like I still will see so many of them just still see the movies. They're like, hey, it's a good time. They're dad movies. They're also movies you can watch with the family and uncles for the most part. They're a bit of everything, but
well, uncles aren't too much different than dads, I guess.
Okay, well, I mean, my grandparents saw these movies. They love the stars. They love those books. It's just, but there's a bit of something for everybody. Even, again, my sister's not into spy movies. She watched all these movies. Just dynamite actors, good dialogue between explosions.
Yeah.
It was always just so annoying, though, when I would see a low budget B movie and they would take, stock footage from Red October or Clear and Present Danger. I'm like, you bastards, get your own explosions.
Now, if you got any TV shows, you're not going to take stock footage from a movie.
Oh, too late. An episode of Jag would often have like B-roll from Top Gun and Red October. I'm like, Are you serious right now?
That's just a given.
Nothing else in the Paramount vault we can steal from. That's where I'm like, can you just steal like from the movies that sucked? Like, can you steal? Oh, what's from that other guy who had his movies? it was that one movie that also had William Dafoe, and it was based off a spy novel. Flight of the Intruder. Could you take some carrier craft footage from that? Stephen Kuntz. Like, or better yet, just take it from something that isn't great, like a Canon film. Just still that explosion, just for 5 seconds.
Yeah, I got like a ranking listing for the actors, and like I said, Harrison Ford was the angriest Ryan. John Krasinski, most physical Ryan. Well, because he's playing more of the operative in that than the others have, right?
Yeah, and but he still gets his brainy moments. So I think that's the appeal of the Jack Ryan character. He is the geeky guy who somehow made it into Washington, but also, smarter than the average bear. When he knows that something is just not working at all, is like, I'm going to call a spade a spade.
I have Ryan's superpower isn't combat; it's pattern recognition under pressure. So pattern recognition under pressure.
Pretty much. He's a more realistic, if you will. I would probably say he's probably, he's smarter than the average bear, but he's also just very brainy. He's the kind of guy who understands how to hack into computers and why it's ridiculous and how people steal. But, he looks at the paperwork and he does the number crunch. And then when that's not adding up, he uses outside sources. And there's plenty of times where he gets written up, but he finds a way to get out of it by saying, if you give me this leeway, I will come up with this result. And they did good, especially by having Wendell Pierce as his black Muslim boss, who keeps it secretive because he knows about the CIA, fear mongering, as well as just they just would always have just a bit of extra just gotcha moments. It's like, here's how I escape from here. Here's how I deal with this. Oh, so and so just Ryan gets beat up and tortured plenty of times. So it's like, but there's always another buy-in. There's like, here's a few other things that are gonna be a recurring issue that they got to deal with.
You think Jack Ryan works better when he looks uncomfortable holding a gun?
I wouldn't say so, but I like how he's hesitant to get involved. Like, he definitely they kind of like Dr. Kimball, coincidentally, on The Fugitive. They do kind of just show is like, I'm familiar with this. I was born on a farm or something you can put together. But he's definitely had enough experience to get to where he is. But
well, I mean, if Jack Ryan were to go into movies again with the kind of audience that we have these days, it would have to be leaning very heavily more towards the action.
It always does, but like you say, like, they give you enough details to where you can add it all together instead of feeling like, I don't really buy so-and-so as this person,
Yeah.
Well, this has been a delight closing up the chat with you, my dude.
What, you gotta go?
Oh, do you want me to go?
No, it's all right. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Absolutely always fun doing these kinds of chats.
We'll return after these messages.
Welcome to the Better Call Daddy Show, the #1 podcast where we admit, no matter what happens, Daddy has the advice we need to fix our problems.
Introducing my dad, Mr. Wayne Friedman.
That was good. It would be nice if you could also sing a song.
What would the song be?
You love Paris in the springtime. I just made up some words to it.
I love Rena in the springtime. I love Rena in the fall.
That's right. That's good enough.
What I do is interview people of interest, share it with my dad, and get my dad's advice. My dad is my hero. Nobody's got my daddy.
Oh boy, let's go to Grandpa.
You like to be a little rebel. I tried to rein you in. I have a daughter named Rena that acts just like I did. She's got a son that is not only just like me, but it's just like her.
I'm your host, Rena Friedman Watts.
Invite your friends, subscribe, and I'm excited to take this journey with you.
Let's dive in.
She was teasing this guy with this sword, and she accidentally cut his dick.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
And then he started to enjoy it.
I started going down the phone sex rabbit hole. You've got the wankers, and they jerk off in 5 seconds, and then they're done because A, they don't want to spend money, and B, they're quick.
My stepfather had mania. If I'm yelling at one of my kids, that fear, that rigid fear.
Mom even said to me, I hope you have a kid just like you.
There are lots of people that are being bought and sold right now for profit.
If you think you're going to kill yourself, shut up and kill yourself. If you're not going to kill yourself, then shut up, smarten up, and it's all on you. The bullshit has to end.
Wow.
When I was 11 years old, I was raped and molested over the course of a year.
What Jeffrey Epstein had was a sickness inside of him.
I am Evan Castrilli Carmichael. I could do anything that I believe that I can.
I'm so excited too. Let's go.
Next on Better Call Daddy with my mom and my grandpa.
Stay tuned.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up